Hello everyone, welcome to 3ddesignacademy.com. In this lesson, we'll continue with part 6 of the body side of Lexus LF-30 concept car. Now in the previous lesson, I was working on this fillet over here. Now it looks okay. It is curvature continuous over here, I believe. Actually, let me just check on that. Okay, so it looks like it's actually not curvature, so let's actually start with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hide these curves for now, and let's go ahead and grab a line. It's going to be G2. I'm just going to align it over here, see if I can get curvature continuity. Okay, so it looks like it's positioned, however, it's a failing tangency. I'm going to leave it for now because I at least was able to achieve position. And let's just do the same thing over on the other side. Okay, so for this one, looks like I was able to at least achieve tangency, but not quite curvature. So let's take a look at it a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the surface continuity option and surface continuity checker, and let's just show max label, show chrome on. Let's find out what's wrong with it. Okay, so looks like it's 0.127. So I think I should be able to give it a little bit of nudge and get it to be tangent. So let's do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say NUV. Mouse sensitivity will be 5000. And I'm just going to pull it a little bit, and there it is. Okay, so I got curvature on this side. Now it says 1.0. That could be due to the flatness of the surface, because I believe this, well, usually you probably want a little bit of crown. So I think that's why it's 1.0. But let's see if I can get it to be curvature. There we go. There it is. Okay, so I got curvature on both sides. And let's just check this one over here. That's curvature and that's curvature. Okay, the problem is, however, the highlight isn't exactly great over here. Now that's it, however, let's go ahead and just trim some of the surfaces over here so that's a little bit easier to look. So I'm just going to trim this one over here, and I'm going to trim this one over here. Let's go ahead and trim this one and this one. All right, so these surfaces in the back, well, they're not exactly relevant, at least not as of this moment. So I'm just going to go ahead and make them invisible. All right, so highlights, well, still not great, because if you see this, well, this one is okay up to this point, and this one is okay, but the problem is that these two don't really connect. So let's see if I can do a little bit of refinement and see if that will work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plow the align tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to align one surface to the other. Now here's a dilemma. So if you look at this one, this is the primary, essentially a primary surface, whereas this is more like a fillet. And if you look at this one, this is the primary and this is a fillet. But if you see this one, it's basically connecting a primary surface to a fillet. And this one is also connecting a primary surface to a fillet. So how do you decide which one to connect to which one? Now, if this was a primary surface and this was a primary surface and this was a secondary fillet, or if these were secondary fillets, it would be really easy to determine. This would be the primary. This would be the secondary surface that's connecting the primaries, in which case this would be aligned to here because these were done first. However, in this case, it's sort of a mix. It's a little bit mismatch because, well, this is a secondary, whereas this is a primary. So basically, it's, you know, even if I connect one or the other, I don't think it really matters as for this one. So what I'm going to do is, since this is a little bit bigger, I'm going to try aligning this one to this one and see how it does. So let's go ahead and grab a line over here. I'm going to grab this one. It's going to G2. I don't think it's going to work that well, but let's give it a try. So I got curvature here, but as you can see, the CV structure is actually pulling down quite a bit. So let's take a look. And as you can see, the highlight is actually looking pretty crappy. And yeah, that's not working well. So what I'm going to do is, well, let's just duplicate these. Just going to put them over here. And let's try that again. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to align this one again to this one. And I'm just going to make a little bit of CV alignment over here and see if I can get the highlight to be a little bit better. So what I want to do is I just want to make sure, oh, okay, so actually I'm starting to think that this might not be the best idea, because even if you look at the CV structure over here, it's a little bit, there's a lot of zigzag. I think this one's okay, but this one definitely isn't. So what I would probably, well, let's still give it a go. I'll probably pull these up and see if that makes it a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'll prefer these to be sort of balanced. So I'm just going to do a proportional modification. It's going to be mouse institute of 50, and I'm just going to pull these up and see if that makes my highlight a little bit better. Oh, actually, you know what? That's actually pushing that down. So in this case, what I think I should do is I should actually pull these up at the same time. So let's do this. I'm going to grab this CV over here, this one over here, and this one over here. And I'm just going to pull them out at the same time. And I'm just going to use regular NUV and see how that does. So that does, the only problem is that does break curvature. Oh, that was too much. Actually, you know what? I think I should use proportional modification. So let's give that a go. So actually, I'm going to pull all of them at the same time. So let's do that. And yeah, curvature is totally off, but I'm going to check the highlight if it's any better. And for this one, this is also kind of dipping down quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is this one, I'm going to do the opposite. So this will be the primary. I'm just going to pull this up like that and see if that's any better. Now, of course, there's quite a lot of zigzags, so you probably want to do a little bit of slide too, like this, and that'll probably make it a little bit better. But, well, I really have to take a look and see how it is. Okay, so that's a little bit better. However, let's just check the highlight, and that still looks like crap. And actually, you know what? This is completely broken. So I think this is not going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete, and actually I'm going to bring the other ones back. So let's just grab these two, copy and paste. I'm just going to bring it over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the reverse, in which case I'm going to align this one over here. So now it's curvature, but you see the CV is dipping down quite a bit. So let's see if I can do a little bit of refinement on these. So I'm just going to grab this CV over here, and this time I am going to do a proportional modification, and let's just do NUV, see if this makes it any better. I'm just going to do roughly if it is, just to see if it has potential. If it doesn't, then I'm just going to move on. All right, so let's take a look. At least it retained curvature over there. Let's see, that is in curvature, and that's position. That's interesting. But, well, I'm just looking at the general highlight. So let's take a look. CV structure looks okay. And no, that actually looks even worse. So let's do this. I'm going to try one more technique. And if this doesn't work, I'll probably have to redo the fillet. So I'm just going to copy and paste this over here. And I'm just going to bring it over here again. And let's just make sure that it is curvature to start with. Okay, so that's good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out what's called Align 08. Now, Align 08 used to be the main Align tool, I believe. Well, hence the name Align 2008. However, this one does have a pretty neat functionality, in which case, which I can align both surfaces at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say modify both, and I'm going to say tangent for now. Intersection, I'm going to have to play around with that. And well, this one, I would say default should be okay. Collinear should be best, but I'm not sure. So let's give it a go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click one of them and align it like this. Okay, so it's a little bit better. I believe it should be tangency. So let's do a continue check. Yes, it is at least tangency. Let's just check the continue over here, but it is failing position for some reason. Okay, so let's try fixed. That's a little bit better, but it is actually failing position on both sides. But the highlight, I would say, is probably the best of all of them, but still you see a little bit of kink over there. So let's give this a curvature, and that still looks pretty bad. And it's actually having quite a dramatic effect on this one. So let's try this. Perpendicular edge. Oh, no, that's probably not going to directional. Align by project. Still no good. Collinear. I mean, collinear should give me the best result, but of course that's just internal. Okay, you know what? I don't think any of them are working. And to be honest, highlight still looks like crap. So let's do this. Let's redo the fillet, and I'm going to see, because right now what I did was I tried to really clean that up, but I'm going to see what kind of result I get if I just do a standard fillet, because I don't think I really saw how it does. So what I'm going to do is, well, actually I can't quite remember what the fillet size was. Let's see. This one, yeah, so it looks like it's about 200, so let's give that a go. So I'm just going to grab these and this one at the same time. It's going to be 200. Form factor will be set to 1, and I think autos should be okay, so let's give that a go. Actually, you know what, this actually gives me a lot better highlight, so looks like this is going to be a winner. However, right now the structure is a little bit funny, so I'm going to see if I can just clean this up a little bit. I really don't need it to extend all the way, so what I can do is I can just change this to default over here. That's a little bit better. Yeah, that's actually pretty clean. And let's look at the highlight. Highlight's nice and clean. Now there might be a slight discontinuity here and there, but I think, yeah, as you can see over here, it's not exactly curvature. At least the edges are, or not. Yeah, at least that looks good. So yeah, unfortunately that does mean that there are 3 pieces that I gotta cross. That means additional pieces of surfaces, but at least the highlight looks good, and that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so that looks good. However, I'm going to see if I can do Bezier just to clean out the CV structure even more. That looks like that doesn't work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say extend or edge align. Let's try edge align first. That's no good. I'm going to say connect. That's no good either. I'm going to turn off Bezier. Okay, so connect works like that. Auto. Well, looks like it's the same. Default. Oh, default is not going to be good. Say extend. That's definitely not gonna. Edge align should give me the best result, but as you can see, the CV, for some reason, the CV structure over here is a little bit wonky. So I'm going to just keep it a connect, and I'll just extend the surface and extend it. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I mean, the CV structure is not exactly great. As you can see, there's a little bit of, well, it's not exactly a zigzag, but yeah, I'll live with it. Okay, so highlight looks pretty good, and that's what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete the construction history. It's kind of, yeah, it's kind of effort wasted with the previous iteration, but whatever. It's worth a try. Now we know that it doesn't work. Okay, so that's it. However, I do want to make sure that the continuity is good. So let's try to fix it. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to regular line. It's going to G2, and I'm going to just try to fix some of these edges over here. Now that said, however, the internal continuity is critical, so I'm going to also turn those on. And let's try to make them all curvature. Okay, so it looks like that's failing over here. Position 1.0, I will say, yeah, that's probably a little bit better. I'm going to have to do a little bit of line there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, first of all, I do need to extend this piece over here. Ooh, that's a little weird. That's actually really weird. I'm going to do a revert. And I'm going to try extending again. Oh, that's yeah, that's ridiculous. Okay, so if that's the case, I might have to do a little bit of rebuild. So since I already have this curve, let's do that. Now, just in case, I'm just going to copy him. Actually, you know what? I'm going to delete all the surfaces over here, except for this one. And I'm going to put this back in the hide layer. And let's just copy and paste this over here. Put in this layer. Let's do a cleanup on this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rebuild using square. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oh, looks like it's a little bit short over here, but that's okay. I can just align like that. And let's do a square again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 is curvature. 3 is curvature. Of course, and there are many CVs. So I'm just going to do 5 and 5. Looks like it's a failing curvature a little bit over here, but everything else looks pretty good. Now, as far as this one goes, I think this should actually be secondary. So I'm going to try aligning this one, but let's do this. I'm going to just duplicate this edge, and I'm going to redo the square. And the reason for that is because I would prefer to preserve the history on this piece, just in case I need to. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try aligning this one later, but I would prefer to play around with the boundary blend, see if I need to refine it a little bit. Okay, that's it over. Let's go ahead and take a look at the continuity. What's wrong with it? Okay, so it looks like it's a failing position over here. So I'm just going to say align, and there it is. I got curvature there, and I got curvature here. So now I need curvature between this one and this one. So it looks like this is actually failing tangency. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see. Well, I'm going to try sequence-wise, aligning this one to this one should be ideal. Well, let's take a look. So I'm just going to have tangency on, and I'm going to say align. I'm going to try with G2, but I might have to do G1. So let's take a look. So for this one, because the edge is actually a little bit off, I'm going to say just vector, normal. So it looks like there's a little bit of curvature deviation. Oh, wow. That's actually pretty bad. Okay, so if that's the case, I'm just going to revert it. Let's see if I can just manually do it. Surface continuity on. And actually, you know what? Let's try tangent over here. And I'm going to say vector. That's still pretty bad too. Okay, so if that's the case, unfortunately, I did delete the construction history on this. So let's do this. I'm going to just revert it. And I'm going to, now sequence wise, aligning this one to this one is a correct order. Well, it looks like it's not exactly working out well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to align this one to this one, see if this gives me a better result. So far, yes and no. Okay. So it looks like neither works. So I'm just going to adjust both of them at the same time, just by pushing and pulling. So I'm going to say NUV over here, 5,000. And let's just pull it. That's starting to get into tangency problem over here. And it looks like I got a curvature problem also. Okay, so that's going to require a little bit of effort. So let's do this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a square, but I'm just going to say 1, 2 on the curve, and I'm going to say 3 on the edge. I'm going to say 4 over here with the curve. So that's good. And this original square that I had, I'm just going to hide it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can align this one over here. Oops, not to the curve, but to the square. Now, tangency, it's broken, but I'm going to say vector. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just play around with the boundary blend and see if I can improve it a little bit. Okay, so looks like that actually makes it a little bit better. although I'm not quite sure about the shape though. Well, let's play around with this one. Okay, it looks like that one doesn't really help either way. So I'm just going to leave it there. So at least I got tangency. Of course, this one doesn't need curvature. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to align this one first, like that. And this one, since there's a less deviation, I think that should be easy. It should be a pretty easy fix. Okay, so all I need to do is just to delete the construction history over here. I'm going to grab the CV. And let's just push that a little bit. Oh, curvature deviation there. So I'm going to push this one. It looks like that's a magic CV. There we go. I got tangency, although I'm not sure if I got curvature. So let's check that too. So I got curvature here. I got curvature here. I got a little bit of curvature deviation here. So let's pull this one and see if I can get curvature there. Looks like I'm getting pretty close. And there it is. I got curvature. All right, so that looks good. Now, this one, on the other hand, it does have 1.0. Now, this one is going to be a little bit easy to pick which one to align, because this is a primary and this is a primary. You have to align this one to this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to just try aligning curvature first. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then I got a little bit of work to do. And looks like I have a little bit of work to do. Okay, now I cannot really guarantee that it's going to work, but at least, I can give it a try. So let's go ahead and make sure that those are aligned. And I'm just going to pull these ones over here to get it to be curvature. And looks like it's failing over here. I would have to probably do this one, but that's failing position over here. Let's see. No, looks like none of them are giving me the result that I want. So at least maybe I can reduce the comb over here. The problem is the 1.0 right there. It could be due to the flatness of the surface, but I'm not quite sure. As I try to reduce the comb over here, it's a failing position, which means this is not the right answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and play around with the tangent row like this. Let's see if that. So right now the only thing is the 1.0 right here. So let's just make sure that these are still curvature. So if that's the case, I'm going to play around with this side. Oh, I think I'm getting close. Not that one. And there it is. I got curvature on all sides. Now, actually, the CV structure was a little bit cleaner, but at least I got curvature on all sides and I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so let's go ahead and delete the construction history over here. And now, let's take a look at the whole thing. Highlight looks pretty nice, nice and smooth. Although, because this intersection is a little bit curvy, there's a little bit S shape, but for this one, I think this is fine. Okay, so that's it. However, I do need to trim these ones, so let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to untrim this one. So basically, I'm going to use that in order to trim that. So let's go ahead and project all of these using this edge over here, and this one using this one over here, and just project it in Y, and that should be good. Okay, so let's go ahead and trim over here, trim this one, and trim this one. All right, so that's looking pretty good. And let's go ahead and get these back over here. So I'm just going to say untrim. Now, since this is just a sort of a helper surface, you can probably just extend it and trim it. But, well, I guess no, that doesn't really help it because the fillet over here doesn't need to extend over here. So I guess that's okay. All right. So of course, this is going to take a little. Now this is going to be a difficult fillet over here. Before that though, I think I'm going to do some adjustments here because this surface over here should actually be pointing this way. Because if you look at this one, you will see that this is actually going in. So I think that should be next. So I'll tackle that. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I believe there is a surface over here. First of all, I'm just going to hide all these because they're no longer relevant. Delete the construction history over here, and I'm going to hide it. Now this one, on the other hand, it does, let's see. I wonder if this is a trimmed surface. Looks like it's not. Did I delete it? I think I actually might have. Oh, never mind. No, that's... No, that's no good. Now, if it's hiding somewhere, I can grab it back, but I think it's quite possible that I might have deleted that along with this. Now, if you do make a mistake like this, I don't think it's critical because, well, this one you can probably just extend and that should essentially be the same surface. Oh, let's hide those. And if not, you can always extend this one. That should also give you exact same result. So yeah. Now that's it. However, I do have this one, so I'm going to go ahead and put a fillet over here. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is, well, first of all, delete this one because I do have this edge, and I'm just going to extend this one. Well, not exactly extend. I'm just going. Yes, I am going to extend it actually. So I'm just going to extend this piece over here, and I'm going to give this a little bit of width. So I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to say hide unselected. And actually I'm going to extend this one so that it's just a single piece too. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a little thickness over here. And let's do this. So I'm going to say, I'll probably just make a separate piece. So I'm going to give it a little thickness over here, and I'm going to give it a little thickness over here. But this one, I'm going to say merge on, and I'm just going to extend it that way. I'm just going to intersect this one with this one. So basically, I have a piece lined up like that. Now let's take a look at it again. Okay, so basically this is giving this surface a little thickness, and what's going to happen is that this last fillet over here, this one over here is going to climb there, and it's just going to wrap around like that. Now, I think, well, let's see. I'm just going to delete this fillet over here because that's totally irrelevant. Maybe I'll give it a little bit more thickness. And even if I need to adjust the thickness, that should be pretty easy. So I'm just going to give somewhat of a thickness like this. And let's see what I need to do here to put a fillet over here. So I'm just going to align this one over here. It's going to record, it's going to G2. Actually, I can't remember the size over here. Looks like it's about 200. So I'll start with something a little bit smaller. So maybe I'll do 150 like that. And let's see if that's enough. So in order to do a quick test, I'm just going to use scan over here, and I'm just going to see if that's enough, like if that's going in enough. Looks like it's not bad. However, I think I'm going to just do a little bit more. So maybe 130. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Actually, you know what? That might be a little bit too much. So let's go somewhere in between. So I'm just going to do 140. Now the problem is if I go in a little bit too much, once I do the filler over here, that's going to actually eat up a lot of this, and that might look a little bit weird. So I think 140, it seems okay. Maybe it's a little bit too much. Maybe I'll just go back to 150. Let's take a look. So 150. You know what? I think that's going in enough. Let's just do that. I'll prefer this to be large as possible, just because of the shape over here. If this creates a problem later, we can always adjust it. So let's just do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to project it over here. So I'm just going to grab this surface, project in view or normal, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. And I'm just going to trim this one, and I'm going to trim this one, and let's go ahead and align. So I'm going to say G2 align. Now this should be a flat surface, so that should work. So edge there, edge there. Okay, again, align, edge there. Okay, so it looks like it's actually, there might be a little bit crown. So if that's the case, you just want to increase the degree to 2, if not more, just to make it curvature, and that looks good. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete the construction history over here. And I think I'm ready for the fillet there. So, let me hide those. And I'll probably do this fillet next. All right, so there's still more work to do. This is a very, very complex filleting, a very complex body side. So it is obviously going to take some time, but we'll continue in the next one. All right, so that is it for part 6. We will pick this up in the next tutorial, and thank you guys for watching. Want to learn more? Then become a member at 3ddesignacademy.com, where you will find hundreds of video tutorials ranging from basics, including curve creations, intermediate level tutorials such as this wheel, all the way to Class A modeling of the entire car exterior. Interested? Visit 3ddesignacademy.com.